is, because we are the champions of the world. Welcome along to the Guy and Harley podcast. My name is Harley Neville.
And I'm Guy Pigden, and if you're watching this on the live stream, you might see that things look a little bit different
this episode.
And maybe sound a little bit different as well. We are coming to you live from Amsterdam, and I guess
the Max Hotel. The Max Hotel in Schiphol, yeah. and it really is a bit of a shithole too. The spot.
It's kind of a giant shithole.
This particular hotel, tiny rooms, twin beds but no twins.
Yeah. Also, you have to understand, like, if you're looking at this on the live stream, you're seeing the entire room. Like, it doesn't get wider. Like, there's nothing further and hidden.
We're perched on the end of the bed, so yeah. I've actually seen a porno that starts like this.
So yeah, welcome along to the live Amsterdam stream. I hope it's sounding okay and looking okay. Yep. In fact, we can probably try and check that.
Yeah. I'm on the restream, so
okay.
Here we go. I've got the chat here, so the viewers can let us know if there's anything wrong with the audio or anything like that as well. So yeah, sound off in the comments, you dudes. But yeah, so last night was the big night. Why are we here? We're here because we were both nominated for acting awards, Best Oceanian Actor at the Septimius Awards. And we were nominated up against each other, Guy for our film Older, and me for our film Emmy the Vegan, and we were nominated against each other, but whoever, as long as one of us wins, we're all still winning here.
Interesting way to look at it, yeah.
No, it's true, because it's good for me, like, we'll get to who won, I guess. Which was you, where's your thing?
So we can see this weighty piece here. Just showing it for the live stream.
Yep, it's heavy. It's really heavy. And so Guy was announced as Best Oceanian Actor. So take that, Taika Waititi.
So yeah, Taika Waititi.
Lucy Lawless.
Guy Pearce.
Yep. Hugh Jackman.
Thor, Chris Hemsworth.
Sam Neill.
Sorry, bud. Better luck next time, mate. They could have, you could have been a nominee, but
Russell Crowe.
Yep. Nah.
Sorry, dudes.
I'm a better actor this year than all of you. That's what the Septimius Awards have decreed, and who am I to argue with them?
Yeah.
But only to say yes, and if you haven't seen Older, you can see why. You'll see that Nicole Kidman. She would be in the best actress category.
Oh yeah.
Technically speaking.
True. Yeah.
But you get the idea that like all of them have fallen to the mighty Guy Pigden.
Yeah.
My acting chops are no bounds. There's some Oscar winners in there that I'm better than now.
Yeah.
This year. Obviously it's yearly, so they will measure it to a different year. It'll be a different best acting, but my acting was better than a lot of Oscar winners this year, so that's pretty good.
Well, if you guys want to see Older, there's a link in the description. There's even a free option.
And so yes, we had it wasn't a crazy night. It was a big night.
Yeah.
It was a good night. And that was the award ceremony last night. So we're definitely feeling
a little
under the weather.
Yeah, it's a hungover episode of the podcast. 4 a.m. Went to sleep-ish, or 4:30. I think it was 4:30. I went to sleep.
It took Harley an hour to get from his room to my room to do the podcast. He's just down the hallway, but it took him an hour. That's how hungover he was.
To be fair, it was a surprise. I was like, "When do you want to do the show?" And he was like, "Now." I was like, oh shit, oh crap.
Well, when else are we going to do it,
Yeah.
Also, we need the light from the outside to,
Yeah.
the lighting.
Yeah. Well, it's all right because it stays light here until 11 p.m.
That's actually a good point.
And it gets light again at like 4 a.m.
Yeah, that is actually a good point. But I forgot about it not getting dark. I'm used to it being dark at like 5 now over in New Zealand. Yeah. But I tell you what, so the awards show was, what was your impressions of it? Because I was probably, I would say, pleasantly and dramatically surprised.
Yeah, there was a lot of glitz and glamour, and everything was really well made. Everything was like the trophy. We're all like high level of craftsmanship, and you can see that they've really put in work and spent a lot of money on like the booklets and all of that type of thing.
Yeah.
And in this amazing venue. And then all the people that were there all seemed very well to do. Like you and I had our cheap New Zealand Hallenstein suits on.
We sure did.
But there were people there, you know, rocking the big Burberry suits and all the...
And like bedazzled, like jewel encrusted suits.
Yeah.
So like
very
black
well
jewel encrusted suits. And then here we were with our popping out of our Hallensteins. Popping out. Well, mine's a Rembrandt actually.
Yeah.
But
mine was Farmers.
But I did sort of also, you know, because we kind of rushed to get everything done to get over here.
Yeah.
And we were sort of doing everything until the last minute. And one of the things was like, you know, kind of getting our suits and also having to spend money on new suits, which again we couldn't really afford, but we'd unexpectedly got fat.
Too fat for my armour.
Unfortunately, we'd gotten too fat, and so we had to get new suits. But for me, I bought a new pair of pants. But the new pair of pants, although fit me, were kind of very like balloony, and they weren't well fitting. You know, I had a real wide childbearing hips with them on, you know, and I was like, this is not really cool. Like, this is like, these are fucking clown pants.
Yeah.
I just bought a pair of clown pants, so I then ended up going back to my old pants and getting them taken out. But I was sort of conscious of this, is that those pants have been like, you know, hanging up and not really taken care of, and they don't have the crease down the middle anymore.
No.
You know, the traditional and required crease to look like a fucking suit, crease down the middle of your pant line, so to speak. And mine didn't have that, so there I was standing on stage in front of 300 people with these fucking pants without the crease line.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
But yeah, so we were there. We live streamed it. You guys can go back and check it. It'll be our previous upload. We live streamed it. The announcement as it happened, completely live. We didn't know what the answer was going to be. Had no idea. I had an inkling. You were the hot favourite.
Well, I looked because I was like, because I think there was 8 other nominees or something like that.
Yeah, 8 total.
And I was like, 7 other nominees. And I was like, I don't really like my odds. If it was like 1 in 5, I feel that would be closer.
Yeah. But remember, one of them was up for a short film, so you wrote him off straight away.
Yeah, I did mention that to him. I said, I'm sorry, but I've acted for 5 times longer than you. I've had to act well for 5 times longer than you. Mm-hmm. James Jennings, who we met and got to hang out with, is a super lovely dude, but I was like, I'm sorry.
Shout out, James.
I've acted better 5 times longer, so you can't possibly win it for a short, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I was correct.
Yeah.
I was correct. But I'm sure his performance is amazing, and they were super, super cool people. But so okay, you take them out of the running, but
and take me out of the running,
and take you out of the running, because a drama will always beat comedy when it comes to awards.
Exactly.
Just like you'll never get an award for a horror film.
I didn't even write a speech. I didn't even think of a speech. I was like, I gave it 0 consideration, because I gave it 0% chance that I was getting up there.
Well, I was like, I guess there's a chance, because obviously they reached out to invite us. Yeah. And it's like, are you going to really bring us across all the way across the other side of the world just to say, see you later, kick you in the ass?
But that's what they did.
To a lot of people.
To me and to James, for example.
Yes. But I was still very sceptical about that, and I also think that any time that you start mentally preparing a speech in your head, essentially you've jinxed it and you've lost. And I know that from mentally preparing speeches in my head and then losing over and over and over again. And so I was sort of like, so whenever I do that, that's a really bad idea. The only time, and we've only ever won like one other award like that we were present for, which was the Independent Spirit Award for I Survived a Zombie Holocaust back in 2015. It's been a hot minute. I was going to say it's been a long time between drinks, shall we say. But I was kind of like, yeah, and I didn't plan it. I certainly had no idea that was going to happen either. And I was like, yeah, as soon as you start considering, and as soon as you start writing that speech in your head, you've lost it. So I did. I only sort of thought of a joke, which did not really go over super well with the crowd.
Which one was that?
Well, I sort of joke that I'd like to thank, like, it's not just the actors, I'd like to thank the writer, director, and editor. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, hang on a second, they're me as well. Yeah. It didn't erupt with laughter at that. Yeah. But in saying that,
I think it was a good joke. I think there was just a fumble on the final delivery. You'll have to rewatch your performance in the live stream. A fumble on the final delivery of the final punchline.
I don't think I fumbled it.
No?
I just don't think they laughed.
No, but I thought they did laugh, though. That's the thing. They did laugh, and there was lots of people saying, oh, that was a good speech.
But a lot of people did come up to me afterwards and go, that was the funniest speech of the night, and I really enjoyed that. Thank you for essentially, not taking it too seriously. Yeah. Which is classic Kiwi fashion. Can't take ourselves too seriously, because if we do, another Kiwi will come along and tell us how shit we are. Because that's the New Zealand way. That's the New Zealand way. Cut everyone down around you. Yeah. Never let them bask in any type of success. Cut them down, chop them down, throw a snide comment their way when they're riding high. Yeah. When they're feeling good about themselves, just cut them down to size and make them feel a little bit lesser than. That's what we do here in New Zealand. Yes. But it was super cool. It was a big surprise. I sort of got through a speech. Obviously, after doing the speech, I was like, look, there was a lot of other things I should have maybe said, that would have been better, but then I would have had to prepare it in my head.
No, it was good. It was a resounding success, and I encourage the listeners to go and check that out. It's our previous upload. It's only a few minutes long, and you get to experience it live. Yeah.
It's a bit dark.
It is a bit dark. There wasn't too much we could do about that, unfortunately.
But yeah, and it was super cool. And obviously, we collectively really have been the people that are there congratulating the people. That's really been our lives. So when we're at these awards functions, when we go to them, we're always like, hey man, great job on that thing, congratulations on that thing, man, that was awesome, man. Oh, bloody good on you, mate, good on you. And this time,
I should have brought my nomination thing with me.
Well, you just hold up the other one. It looks the same one. It's basically the same. Oops. This is the Participation Award. Yeah. This is Harley's Participation Award.
Also ran, Harley Neville.
Participation Award. So we all got plaques as well.
Yeah. And these are good quality. It's good quality stuff. It's nice paper.
Gold trim.
Yeah. So it's a good festival, and they treated us well. And yeah, I liked it. I was interested. The only downside is this hotel.
Yep.
Which we can't complain about. It was free, but if I had known...
But we are complaining.
If I had known that it was going to be so far away, I would have just saved my money and gone, cool, well, I'll just use all that travel money and just be in the city. Like today, I could be walking around buying sexual knickknacks, little vibrators and stuff, and just cruising around, cruising to a cafe. Instead, I'm stuck way the fuck out here, and I'm a bit hungover, so I'm like, oh, well, screw it. I'm not riding the train for an hour to get there.
Well, it is a bit of a mission to get
in the rain.
In and out. Yeah. That's the only sort of negative, to the spot. But the venue was also sort of really, really flash. If you're
the
New Zealander,
Theatre of Amsterdam.
Yeah, sort of imagine the Civic, but older and even more decadent in its sort of finery and all the things and paintings on the walls from 16th century.
Plush carpets.
Yeah. Chandeliers.
Yeah. Winding staircases.
Yes. Golden banisters.
Yeah.
Gold-trimmed toilet seats.
I didn't see any gold-trimmed toilets.
No, but I don't know if I walked into one of the toilets and I was like, man, this is nicer than our hotel.
I actually noticed the perfect design. They had the perfect design for a toilet, which was a unisex toilet, and each cubicle had its own lock, and it was kind of open you would walk, you know, like there was no door that stopped people from coming in and out, and it was sort of quite open, and so it was the perfect design because it was open and safe and unisex and secure. It was good. It was the first time in my life I've been impressed by toilet design.
Great toilets here in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Just really great toilets.
But the bars, God, you can kill yourself falling down like 6 steep stairs that, you know, appear out of nowhere.
Yeah, Amsterdam has a problem with steep steps.
Health and safety. There must be so many tourists just getting wasted off those stairs all the time, just smashing themselves.
Well, you see, there's a regulation in New Zealand that steps can't be a certain amount of vertical degree, you know. They can't go up at a certain angle, right?
Yeah.
They have to go up less than that. Otherwise, they are considered unsafe. Clearly, Amsterdam did not get that memo. It might be something to do with the fact that some of these stairs are, you know, several hundreds years old.
Yeah.
But regardless,
Can't just rip them out.
There's definitely no rules about how steep the stairs are. So, you know, you could come a cropper there if you come here. So that's top travel tip from us.
Yeah.
Watch the steps. But yeah, so it was...
we've got a couple of shout outs as well to Shelby and Casey from last night as well, who were promised a shout out.
And also promised to listen to the podcast.
Yeah, so this is probably not the best one to, you know, start on, but
well,
good enough.
Considering
Welcome.
we've simply recapped what they both experienced.
Yeah, already.
As also nominees.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was really cool. It was nice to actually win something. And, you know, I just do think there is a high level of irony that, you know, we can come all the way across the world to win an award for the work we've done on a feature film. Can't get that feature film watched by the Film Commission. Can't get them to watch that, really. Too busy. Too busy.
Yeah.
And can't get an agent.
Yeah.
Can win an award. Can tread the boards with people such as Thomas Jane, the Punisher, who also won an acting award this night,
and was in attendance.
and Chris Hampton, who won a Lifetime Achievement Award, director of films such as Dangerous Liaisons, who I did get to have a chat with. And
Stephen Yee. Emotional Damage.
Emotional Damage, one of the most popular YouTubers currently. I can share the stage with these people.
He was there.
I can hold the same award in my hands, and yet in New Zealand, sorry kid, we don't have any work for you as an actor, and if we don't have any work for you, gonna cut your ass and kick you to the curb.
To be fair,
piece of shit.
To be fair, you got fired from your agent 2 years ago.
Yes.
You could have an agent.
I could have a different agent.
Have not gone to my agent. You should go to my agent.
I could potentially have a different agent. That's true.
Yeah.
But I still think
my
it's
agent's
funny.
a good agent.
You know, you can win awards. Sorry, but you're not good enough for an agent in New Zealand. Sorry about that.
If it makes you feel any better, they dropped me as well. So that same agency.
But that, to me, is the insanity of it all.
Yeah.
Like, that just kind of perpetuates this whole fucked up thing, because it's like, right, so the lead in a feature film, who actually, to be fair, gets quite consistent advertising work, so does generate plenty of money for the agent that you now have and have had for a long time. So it's like, you're a good client, or is that the right word, client?
Yeah.
You're a good representative of their agency.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, sorry, yeah, no, we're just going to fucking fire your ass too.
Yeah.
Sorry, you piece of shit. Oh, you been in a feature film? Nah, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Well, I've actually got lots of ads too. I was the only person. I know you got this ad afterwards, but it's like, oh,
I got all the ads after.
I literally just beat everyone in New Zealand and Australia for this particular fucking ad, because no one else can rap like me.
Yeah.
No other white schlubby dads can rap like me.
Yeah.
And it's like, nah, sorry, mate, your fucking talent's a shit.
Yeah.
You're a piece of shit. Fucking hit the bricks. And also, we're not even going to reply to your email.
That was the problem. That was the bit that hurt me. That's
Oh,
where
of course it hurt you.
Was they just emailed me to say they were thinning up the books, they were cutting a few people, and that I didn't make the cut, and that I was out. And then I replied and I said, well, actually, look, I've booked in some new headshots, which I had already booked in. And here's an update on the work I've been doing, because I hadn't really been keeping them posted, but I had actually been pretty busy.
Yeah.
And then so I was like, just wait a week until these headshots come in, and then we'll just reconsider, guys. We'll just have another wee chat about it.
Let's have a sit down. Let's just have a talk about this.
I'll tell you what I've been up to. And then just no reply. And so that was the worst bit. If they'd replied and be like, oh, look, nah, it's all good, it's all done, I'd be like, okay, sweet, I don't have an agent. But instead, I was like, oh, I'll get through. I'll sort this out. No problem. This will be all good. Oh, hey, guys, no, check it out. There's no problem. We're all good, eh?
Blocked.
And then just no reply. No reply. So I'm just waiting for a few days. And then
Ghosted by your agency.
After a few days, I sort of had to come to this realization. I was like, I just had to acknowledge this new harsh reality. I was like, I don't have an agent.
And they really don't give a fuck about me.
They didn't even reply to my email.
They really held me in a very, very low regard. So much so that they can't write a one-sentence reply.
But the moral of the story here is, or the important thing is, that I went to a different agent and
proved them all wrong.
Landed a whole bunch of ads, exactly, which made money for my agent and for me.
And now here I am. Who's fucking laughing now?
Yeah, who doesn't even have an agent? Best Oceanian actor, the best actor in Oceania.
Better than Sam Neill. We just did Jurassic World or something.
Doesn't have an agent.
Better than him.
You got to get an agent, guy.
Well, we'll look into it.
You got to get those
quite busy
$6,000 a day jobs.
I mean, they are good jobs. They do pay well. No doubt about that.
Yeah.
Good work if you can find it.
Exactly.
No doubt about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so you're sitting there, right? And they're like, the best Oceanian actor is, and it played a little clip of Emmy the Vegan, and Harley Neville, Emmy the Vegan, Guy Pigden, older, and had little clips of it. It was all very cool, which I wasn't expecting all that. I actually thought that they would have requested that stuff from us at some point, those assets, but they didn't. So I was like, oh, they're probably not doing anything like that. But then they it looked really good, and so then they're like, best Oceanian actor is Guy Pigden. What goes through your head?
Well, one, I was impressed they got my name right.
Yeah, Guy Pigeon.
Yeah, no pigeons here. Really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
You know, that's normally that's like the faux pas number one when it comes to announcing my name for anything.
Yeah.
Guy Pigeon, come on down. So I was like, oh, cool. But then I was like, oh, shit. I was like, this is going to be good for the vlog.
Yeah.
Because we're recording it right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, I hope everything's in focus.
Yeah.
And then I was like...
No guarantees on that focus.
And then I was like, oh, fuck, okay, all right. Now I've just sort of compile everything around this one joke that I thought of. And hopefully I don't forget anything. And I actually really did want to take a selfie up there.
Yeah.
Of the whole crowd and me. But the problem is the award was really heavy.
Right.
And I couldn't, like, with the award in my hand, it was too difficult to kind of elegantly take out my phone and go, hey guys, I just want you all to say cheese.
Yeah.
Even though I thought it would be a nice moment, and I was like, look, I made a couple of jokes, like, let's just get on with it, eh?
Well, and also, the photos often don't look that good unless the lights are put up. You know, like if you're trying to get a selfie of the crowd, it often doesn't really look so great.
I just remember Fly the Conchords doing it one time at the O2 Arena while we were there, and I was like, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So it was just a sort of mad rush, and I could feel I was like, look, just trying to sound like somewhat composed, even though you kind of haven't really thought this one through. But I was also could hear my voice quivering and quavering.
Oh yeah, there was a moment where you...
And it's like, that wasn't me...
You were almost overcome.
Yeah, that wasn't me, like, overcome
by
with
emotion.
Tears.
Yeah.
That was just the adrenaline kicking in of the fact, of the surge of adrenaline.
Don't lie. The bit you were talking about at the time was about how it's good that you get to work with your friends.
Nah, don't give a shit about that. I'm telling you, it was adrenaline.
And then your voice got all quivery.
It was adrenaline.
It got all quivery.
The adrenaline was coursing through the veins.
When you were talking about making movies with your friends.
Nothing to do with that.
Overwhelmed.
None of that.
Overcome by emotion.
I was so the adrenaline was pumping, and I was like, "Oh, just kind of, you're gonna sound like you're gonna cry over this award, you little shithead, you spoiled little shithead. Are you really gonna sound like that right now in front of all these people?"
The answer is yes.
You little fucking tosser.
But no, it was a good touch because you've got the humour, but then you've also got some serious emotion. You know, something heartfelt.
Yeah.
So that's good stuff. Resounding success, I would say. Everything a resounding success.
Also, look, it is also, I will say, it is fun to not go home and essentially explain to people how we didn't win.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is what we also normally do.
Yeah.
So normally we're like, yeah, we went to this thing, and they're like, oh yeah, how'd it go? Oh well, we didn't win, but it was really good. It was really a lot of fun.
We got the best independent spirit award.
We got to visit a lot of people. We got to see make some really good connections.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, don't get me wrong. That is going to be 99% of the time.
Yeah.
What you say.
Yeah.
But for one time, we get to say, well, we actually came and got the thing we came over for.
Yeah.
Which is cool. So yeah, because normally it's, and even like, I don't know with you, but like your sort of kind of acquaintances and family relations, sort of asking about it. And they're like, oh, so you came over here, all the way over here. Did you get it? Did you win?
Yeah.
Well, no, we didn't win. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that tall poppy.
Yeah.
Just slicing you down. So yeah, it's cool that they can't chop us down just yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as I was saying earlier, a win for you is still a win for me, and here's why. Because obviously this is great for the film. It's great for Olga.
It is good for the film,
right? So
yeah.
this is another reason that another thing to promote. Maybe we can drum up some publicity or something.
Well, I do feel like there's a funny story in the whole actor fired by his agent wins best award at international festival.
Yeah.
For his acting. There's a good story there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. And also, they did say something about a bunch of media material or something being available.
Yeah. Well,
I feel like maybe we have to send an email about that or something, maybe.
Yeah.
Or is it just all on their website? But didn't they say it was a priority to the winners?
Yeah, I think they said they were going to send us some stuff.
Yeah.
A few days later, there'll be.
Was it a few days?
We'll be receiving photos, a few days later or something like that. And then all those other independent press, there was independent or other, people with cameras there, and I guess each one of those was a different individual establishment.
Yes.
Magazine or web, site or something. Yes. I guess whoever they were, because there was like 4 different, or 3 different TV type cameras and one click camera.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah. Overall, no complaints, but I guess we should move on to talking about some of the other things we've been doing here in the in the dam.
Well, I mean, first, so you went to London.
I did.
First, anyway.
I did.
Yeah, flew over 32 hours.
Yep.
I went to Madrid first for 3 nights. 32 hours, hell of a journey. 5 children in my immediate surroundings. Under the age of 3.5 or 4. One of them was an 8-week-old baby, and there was only 6 seats for 7 people because there was no seat for the baby. And it was one family with 4 daughters, all clambering around and crying and presumably shitting, but unfortunately I didn't smell any shit. But when I was getting on the plane, I was like, God, don't let me be anywhere near those guys. It was sort of this sort of bogan Australian family. I was like, I don't want to be anywhere near those guys just because of the kids, And then they changed my seat. The airline changed my seat from one seat to a much, much worse seat, which was one of the 6 seats for the 7 people. And so I have my 14-hour leg was sandwiched between all of these screeching children.
Yeah, well, I will say that, I've realised a critical error. We talked about being at the back of the plane to avoid dying in a horrific plane crash. I agree. I'm sure it's true, but I would rather sit anywhere but the back. There you go. So you'd rather...
I'd rather risk my life.
Yeah. So to me, the real issue is that essentially a lot of seats for families and young families are given at that back bit with the front where there's a little bit more leg room, like right next to a wall, essentially.
Yeah.
That's where they're all given, and that was the case for both of my flights.
And you accidentally chose that
And then
area.
I was a couple of seats behind them.
Yeah.
So, you know, screaming babies were, really ramping up at certain times. But also the other issue is that you're last to get the food. And I feel like that's the real, like, if you want to sacrifice your own life, it's just to get that food a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
You know, because...
Get rid of your dishes quicker.
Yeah, because it's just, like, annoying because you can smell the food. And you can sometimes see the food, like, sort of down the end. And you're like, oh, I wonder how long it'll take to get to me. And it's like, it will take an hour to get to you. Yeah. That's how long it will take. You know, everyone's finished. They've eaten everything. It's been cleared away before it's even got to you. So that's the negative. The positive at the back of the plane, and this is the economy class, we're economy pros now, so this is economy travel tips, is the toilet facilities. So if you're someone that goes to the toilet a lot, you have like 4 or 5 toilets back there, which means that you're not always going to be waiting to get into the toilet. So that's the big benefit of being at the back there, which I do really enjoy. But yeah, there's definitely a few cons on that one.
Well, I hit up the air host. I was like, is there any way I can sit anywhere but here? Like, I'll jump on the wing if I have to. Is there anywhere but here that I can sit? And he was like, no, sir, it's a completely sold out plane. And then he was like, but maybe somebody would like to swap with you. And I was thinking, who the fuck is going to swap with me? That person's either a masochist or a paedophile if they want to swap. Why would you want to put yourself in the worst seat there? So there was no chance, obviously, of anybody swapping with me. I just had to live with it.
Yeah. No one would ever swap. And, you know, it was quite hilarious on my flight. There was a giant on my flight. So there was a guy that was like 7 foot, right? Like legit 7 foot. Like he was towering. And I actually saw him before I got on the flight. And I looked at him and I was like, I sincerely hope you have business class, my friend, because your life is hell on these types of flights. And guess what? He didn't have business class.
Yeah.
And he was actually on my flight.
Yeah.
And, you know, essentially the air hostess was like, yep, okay, we're going to swap you to a place where you have room for your humongous legs that could in no way ever fit in a normal economy class seat, right? It's in, like you're up like a fucking and basically he swapped with this really small lady, right? This really small lady, and he sat down, and the small lady was like, "Oh, hang on, hang on, I'm meant to be sitting in that seat, aren't I?" And he's like, "Oh, yes, ma'am, but we decided to swap because, as you can see, this man is a fucking giant." And she's like, "Well, I just think that we should be sitting in the seats that we're allocated. I didn't sign up for this." And so essentially, she forced her way back to this giant leg room, which she didn't need. Her legs took up less room than like if there was like a seat backed up right against her. She was just a small old lady, and this giant had to go back in and squeeze back in to the thing because she was a fucking bitch. That was all it was. She was just being a fucking bitch. And he got back up and he just looked at her and he was like, really? Really?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, it's not my fault. This is allocated seats.
Was this in which country was it?
This was going
New Zealand?
This was going from
Aussie.
I think this was either Australia to Dubai, the 14-hour one. And like the air host was like, I'm sorry, mate. Look, we'll find you another seat. We'll try and find you another seat. But then the problem was, like, our flights was jammed, hanging from the rafters. Absolutely jam-packed. Everyone's decided to start travelling again or something. It was weird. So that was funny. Also, on my flight, I had another guy who was an African gentleman that was going to Dubai. And he was sitting there coughing loudly next to me, just coughing into his mask constantly. And he would just kind of lean forward and cough into his mask. And I was just sitting there and I was like, dude, that cough sounds real COVID-y to me. just really got COVID vibes off that cough. And then it was quite funny. He never really like, he did like have a little nap from time to time, but he didn't turn, like, I don't think he could really work his, TV movie monitor, touch screen. Even though I did try and help him, despite the fact that he had COVID, I did try and help him.
Very noble.
He didn't like get out a book to read or anything like that.
So
he just kind of sat there for 14 hours.
Yeah.
And then about 12 hours into it, he sort of leaned over to me as we were eating, and our masks were down, of course. Yeah. He leaned over to me, and he was like, "How long's this flight to Dubai?" And I was like, "Oh, it's 14 hours."
Yeah.
And he was like, 14 hours? Yeah. And he's like, wow.
Yeah.
This is a really long flight. And I was like, yeah. Yeah. And it was like clearly like he had booked this flight with absolutely no like concept of the time that it would take when he was on it. Like he didn't even look at the hours or anything. He was just like, yeah, I'm going to go to Dubai.
Yeah.
I don't know how long that is, but I'm going to Dubai. Yeah. I've got things to do in Dubai. And I was just like, how do you not know how long it is? And he's like, how much longer to go? And I was like, 2 hours.
Settle in for another 2 hours,
I was like, 2 hours. He's like, I was like, yeah. So yeah, good times on those flights. I also thought that I was going to be like, I always had this idea in my head that it's like, this is 30 hours of uninterrupted time to do my work.
Well, I watched...
to get things done.
I didn't watch any movies until the very, very end of my 32-hour trip. I watched a 2-hour movie right at the very end. That was it. And I was thinking of you. Your voice was echoing around in my head. Yeah. You calling me a sicko or something like that for being able to sit there, without the TV on.
Yeah. It's fucking...
I'm just like the guy that was next to you.
Yeah, you were. The insane man.
I just sit there like a fucking madman, just looking at the...
lunatic.
Just looking at the blank headrest. Just look at the blank headrest in front of me.
Pure lunatic. So...
No, I read an entire book, I'll have you know. I read an entire book, start to finish, during that journey. So that was quite an achievement, I thought. 30 hours or so. Yeah. It was a business book. It was called Smart Cuts. And it's about how people, high achieving people work and how they, what sort of, habits they have and that type of thing. Yeah. So smashed through that during my flight.
Well, I was like, I'm going to edit like a bunch of things. I'm going to do all this writing. Ultimately, I did a tiny little bit of writing and watched 3 movies. That's it.
Well, I did finally watch Dune, which our long-time listeners will know I've been meaning to watch it for a long time. I finally watched it. So here's my review. It was actually really good. I liked it, and I thought it was really true to the Dune universe. I discovered Dune from Dune 2, the video game, which was the video game that first got me into real-time strategies. It was, I really loved that game. And so it seemed all very true to the universe, and it was all really well put together. For the whole first half of the film, it was all really good. It was going places, and it was interesting. It was establishing interesting characters. And then it seemed like the entire second half just kind of went off into a whole bunch of like irrelevant
bullshit,
nothingness that didn't really progress the main story at all.
And then just ended out of nowhere.
And then it just sort of ends, and so we can talk spoilers, right?
Yes, we can.
It's been out for a year or so.
Yeah.
No, it's not really a spoiler anyway, but all it is that, one of the main characters that you've been following the whole way through, at the end of the film, starts having a fight with a random Fremen for no reason. He's just having a fight with a random Fremen, which are like the natives of Dune, of Arrakis. And so why he just had this random fight with this guy, this random fight to the death kind of with this person, which was, we all know that they're going to be the allies, the Fremen are obviously going to work with the Atreides against the Harkonnen. It all makes sense. So why do we have these Fremen fighting the main character? Why do they have to kill each other? It just seems so random and just dramatic for the sake of it, and time fillery. There was a point they were in a helicopter, or the Omnithopter. They were in the Omnithopter, and and they were like going into a storm, and it was like the main character, and I was like, okay, listen, this is all irrelevant, because I know they were all like, oh, the engines are failing and there's all the sand getting everywhere, and it was like, yeah, well, we know that these guys are going to land fine because these are the main characters, so like hurry up and get through this silly storm, you know.
That's right.
You know, what are you doing? We know they're not going to die. Like, hurry up and get on the ground and get on with the story. What's going on with the Harkonnen? What's the Emperor doing?
The fucking Emperor.
The Emperor's got conspiring against the Atreides with the Harkonnen. But even all of that, I was like, how did the Atreides get caught with their pants down so far? Like,
big time.
They just like get totally wiped out real easily, and they knew that war was coming, and they were just completely unprepared. The terrible security systems. I was like, what's going on here? Some of that was letting me down a little. But,
yeah.
But I will watch the next one if there's another one.
Well, there will have to be another one.
Well, otherwise the story is rather incomplete. But it did say part 1 at the beginning. It said June, whatever, part 1. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't entirely surprised when it just ended in nowhere, you know? I was like, oh, yeah, that's because they want to set it up for the next part of the story.
Oh, they sure want to set it up and do fuck all else.
Yeah.
Nocturnal says, well-deserved win. The New Zealand film industry is too elitist, so it suffocates itself before it grows.
Yeah, I can't see any chats on my chat, so
Well, there you go.
keep sending them through, people.
Heath Rogers says, smiley face laugh crying emoji.
Thanks, buddy.
Nocturnal says, the Juniverse. Mm-hmm. And Jared Murray says, well done, guys. I clapped from my couch.
Nice one. So you were watching. He was watching live.
I appreciate that, Jared. And of course, Jared is one of the instrumental people of helping to get Older made and finished and all that sort of thing.
Shout out to Jared.
Absolutely key. So, yeah, appreciate that, Jared, and appreciate your help in getting this award. So, yeah, it's... so the movies that I watched were Resident Evil Raccoon City. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know if you know anything about this.
Well, I mean, obviously I played the video games, but I haven't seen this new movie.
I mean...
I gave up the Mila Jovovich ninja movie that they made with the special superpowers. Was just so far away from Resident Evil that I was like, oh, what is this?
Yeah,
and then,
although Resident Evil got closer to that as the series got a bit sillier from time to time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's quite interesting. So basically... this is a reboot of Resident Evil.
Yeah.
So they've done like 5 Resident Evils with Mila Jovovich, right? And, with all to relative reasonable amount of success, right? They all did sort of okay, made 50 to 100 million and kind of kept making money, but also were fucking insane and stupid. And, in fact, we've talked about it on the podcast.
So disappointing.
I kept going back. Like an abusive relationship, hoping for something different the next time, and just getting more and more of the same, more beat down and downtrodden by this series and this franchise and what it's done to my love of Resident Evil. And so anyway, the Raccoon City, the whole idea was like, yeah, we know that shit was cheesy. Yeah. We know it got too far with the running up a wall and kicking the dog in the head.
Yeah.
We know that things the envelope got pushed too far, and what we need to make is a true Resident Evil horror movie. And I was like, okay, again,
Don't you play with me.
Don't
you toy with me.
I was also, it did harken back because I was like, again, one of my dreams as a young man, a young director, was I'm going to be that guy.
Yeah,
so I was like, I'm going to make The Hobbit. But, this was before The Hobbit. I'm going to make The Hobbit because Lord of the Rings is made, but maybe I can make The Hobbit. Just one movie, though. I don't need 3.
Yeah.
And then I was like, and I'm going to reboot Resident Evil, but do this.
Yeah.
Make it scary. I'm going to do that. When I get to Hollywood, that's on my agenda. Yeah. It's on my hit list. And also make another Star Wars film. All of those things have been taken away from me. And especially this one now, because Raccoon City is like... It's really fucking weird, and in fact, I do kind of encourage you to watch it, Harley, because I feel like you'll like it but hate it at the same time.
Okay.
You'll kind of appreciate the nods to the game, but you'll also be like, man, this is a piece of trash. But it really strikes a balance.
Okay, I'll take this.
Well, that's the thing, right? So on the one hand, they're like, it's scary, right? These guys are really, these are freaky. Barry?
hope this isn't Chris's blood.
Wesker! So, you know, like...
Jill, the master of unlocking, and you, the master of unlocking, could take this.
Okay, I'll take this then. So yeah, like that's the thing. Like Resident Evil was also cheesy.
Yeah.
But it strikes this real weird balance of trying to be a serious, scary Resident Evil film, like on the one hand, but then on the other hand, completely failing because of super dumb shit that happens. And like there's just real weird bits, like there's one where a zombie literally turns to the camera, there's the famous...
Not the classic.
So that's there.
Yeah.
So that's there, right?
Yeah.
But then there's another scene where the camera is like kind of pushing in and zooming, and then the zombie turns and like barrels the camera directly.
Yeah.
Which is not the same thing.
No.
And it's like, wait a second, you're asking zombies to pose now for fucking your framing devices?
Yeah.
Like, this is fucked up.
Yeah.
And so, like, that one, I was like, oh my God, are you serious? We've got, like, the zombie was like this, like, the zombie was like this, and then like, there's this fancy camera move, and he's like, huh?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Who's the zombie turning to?
Yeah.
And why?
Yeah.
And then there was another bit where a zombie, like, again, it was for a shot. So the zombie sneaks up behind one of the people in the mansion, and rather than attack, which is what a zombie just shuffles up and attack. It doesn't think. It doesn't do anything. But this one sneaks up behind just to be in frame and goes like this. Like, you know, a little dance behind so that another zombie can come from the other angle, like, to kind of generate a jump scare.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make sense because you're like, what the fuck's that zombie doing behind him?
Yeah.
He's just a zombie.
Yeah.
He doesn't know to wait for the other zombie, the jump scare.
Yeah.
He would just attack. He would just shuffle in and bite him. That's it.
Yeah.
And so there's these weird bits, and like Wesker is like this kind of good guy that then turns bad at the end, sort of thing, and then turns back good as like he basically shoots a kid and a wife, and then he's like, oh, why'd you make me do it, man?
Yeah.
Why'd you make me do it? Oh, I wasn't gonna shoot, because the little kid shoots him.
Yeah.
And he's like, I wasn't gonna shoot. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this is so dumb. Either Wesker's a bad guy or he's not. But don't try and like make him this kind of conflicted dude that's taking money to get the T virus or the Z virus. And then they have this whole backstory where Claire and Chris Redfield are orphans at Raccoon City Orphanage, and a weird mutant lady with half, like, basically she's sewed on people's faces over her face, like a Hannibal Lecter style thing, where she's covered half her face in someone else's face, like, so half her face is another face, just rocking around, and she befriends Claire. Right, like she's like Claire's sleeping in a bed at like 7 years old, and then this creepy fucking Hannibal Lecter lady goes, Claire, and just like, and she's like, what are you doing? And then she goes into this tent, and it's all and it's like, okay, this is meant to be scary. This doesn't make any sense. And then this half-faced Hannibal Lecter lady was skin sewn onto her. Later on helps when they're at the 20s or whatever it is, helps and gives her a key to the mansion and goes, key! And it's like, and then Leon S. Kennedy turns to Claire and goes, your friends are weird. And it's like, yeah, no fucking shit. Is anyone going to talk about this half-faced lady with the Hannibal Lecter skin, and her arms are like shackled, and it's like, is this just cool? She gives you a key and everything's sweet, you know? And then obviously they get in, they fight like the lickers and the hunters. Yeah. And that obviously looks like shit.
Yeah.
And that's the one
thing. You're not really selling it anymore.
Well, no, but within all that, there's some kind of like genuinely creepy moments. I'm not selling it. I'm selling it as like you should watch it for entertainment value on the plane back.
Well,
pure entertainment value. I really feel like it's almost like the first Resident Evil in the sense
I'm
that
extremely picky.
they're trying to be scary,
Yeah.
but it kind of got turned cheesy.
Yeah.
And but basically they totally fucked up this film, and they fucked it up even worse than the Mila Jovovich ones, because the Mila Jovovich ones at least kind of knew what they were. They're like, look, no, we're not really trying to scare you. We're just going to have silly action shit, right? She's going to ride a motorcycle up onto the ceiling, okay? You know that's what you're getting when you see one of these films. Whereas this one was like, it was meant to be scary, but all the zombies acted weird and didn't behave like zombies. And, you know, there's this weird relationship with this fucking, you know, Hannibal Lecter lady, and no one, you know, kind of really talks about it. And there's just so much dumb shit going on. That it's, but it's still worth a watch. Well, it's so bad it's good.
One thing I did watch, but not really, was somebody else was watching The Matrix with subtitles.
Yeah.
So I ended up kind of watching it.
The new one.
Yeah, the new one from afar. So I kind of got the gist of it now. I basically watched it, but without actually having to really watch it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I should probably watch it properly, but maybe on the way back I might watch it properly.
No, you've got to watch Raccoon City, mate. You've got to give it a go.
No, I think I'll get a Matrix.
You've got to give this Raccoon City a go.
I don't know about that. Yeah. Well, when I was in Madrid, I went out. I had a great day with our dear friend Jaime. Shout out to Jaime, who was actually once, many, many moons ago, on the Guy and Harley radio show as a guest.
Yeah.
And he lives in Madrid, and I went out with him. And we went out to a local birthday party, which was cool because it's the type of thing that I wouldn't normally be able to go to, because as a tourist, how are you going to get into a local birthday party in a park? And so I got to go, and then I went to a gig, and I was standing in the gig, and I was like, man, like if I didn't have COVID before, I've definitely got it now, because I was just in like quite a packed club, you know, for a sort of one of his friends were, you know, playing that night. So yeah, that was good. So see how that goes. We've booked our tests for rat tests. We've got to take rat tests 24 hours before we leave.
Well, that's the last huge obstacle for us now. For this trip to truly be a success.
If we fail a rat test,
we also, just creates like expensive problems for us, basically.
Big
because
time.
We can't travel back until we have a non-positive rat test.
Yeah.
Which means that all our flights get changed. And
all my work, I've got a bunch of work.
Me home. Too. I'm meant to be going back and teaching.
And then where do you stay? You've got to stay here at the Max Hotel for another 2 weeks.
I'll be googling from the airport someone closer in town, and I'll be like, fuck it.
It would be good to be in town, but the problem is you're supposed to stay inside anyway, presumably, and then on top of that, this is cheap. So you'd be better off just to stay in this cheap, isolated place.
That's true. I'll probably just walk around with a mask on.
Yeah. Fuck you. I've got a mask on.
Hey, this is Europe. When in Europe, do as the Europeans do.
Sneeze on each other.
Do unto you as the Europeans do to you.
There's very little mask going on.
There's no protocols.
There's very little mask.
Nothing's going on.
Compared to New Zealand, there's very little mask wearing going on over here. There was a bit more in Spain, but over here it just seems like none at all. Nobody cares. Just hope and pray. I think that's the hope and pray strategy, where you're just like, cool, well, look, I've had my vaccines, or I've had it already, and you just hope and pray.
Yeah. Thoughts and prayers.
I saw people like sneezing into their hands.
Yeah, we did see a few
double hand sneeze.
We did see a few sneezes.
Yeah, like they hadn't even got onto the elbow thing yet.
Yeah.
And so the double hand sneeze, and then they go, you know, and they're just touching things.
And shaking your hand.
Shaking your hand. Ah, gross.
Heath Rogers says his laugh react was responding to your emotional choke during your speech. Can totally relate to the adrenaline throat close. Really? Yeah. Now? You're going to do this now?
Yeah.
I'd just like to thank my friends.
Go back and watch it, everybody. Go and watch it.
It's the adrenaline. Zero emotion.
It's on our YouTube channel, the Guy and Harley podcast.
Jared also says that the Netflix Resident Evil series is out next month. Probably won't be great. gore looks okay. So I actually think that the Resident Evil Netflix series, I don't know if that's, maybe you can tell me if it's live action or not, because there is a Resident Evil series on our Netflix now, but it's the like a CG one. I'm not sure if he's talking about that one or not, because I think we already have access to that one. Resident Evil is cursed. But I also think that, like, you know, part of the problem, you can't do certain things in Resident Evil, right? Like, you can't do liquors, right? Let's think about it. They're called liquors. You can't do liquors. You can't have liquors in real life. Like, in the game, they're quite scary because they can kill you kind of quick and they run about and drop off the ceiling. But in a movie, you can't have a liquor licking at the main characters. It's just not.
Yeah, you don't think?
You can't, like, all these, the liquors look like, they've got scrotums for heads, you know? Two ball bag head things and then the big tongue. Yeah. You know, it's just not going to work. And it's just the same. And it's the same with the actual, you know, the T virus, the mutant thing. And they kind of did a better job of this one, where they kind of did like a little bit of CG, but they definitely did like a little bit of prosthetics as well. Yeah. But that looked cheesy as hell. And there was a guy. So there was a guy with his head was in the T virus thing, which is part of what you see in the game, and you're like, oh fuck, in the game. But in the game, he can kill you with his claws real quick. That's why you're panicking. Whereas here, he's like, I'm going to get you. Keep it all in the family, Claire. And it's like, what the fuck is going on here? Chris was such a good boy. Like, it's just weird. It doesn't work. Like, if you're gonna do a Resident Evil film, just stick to the zombies, right? Just stick to the zombies. Keep it at the zombies. That's it.
Well, it's cheaper as well.
Yeah, super weird. Oh, so Jared says it's live action. So I will definitely watch that. I will definitely be abused again by the Resident Evil franchise. Yeah, have to.
When I was in that gig, I went and sat down for most of it because I was feeling pretty pooped. And I was sitting down, and a guy came up to me, a Spanish guy, and he was, he was like, "You're in Spain. Please don't misbehave." As in, I should be up dancing. Right. Yeah. I was like, that's a cool way of putting it. But I did not get up and dance anymore. I was finished with the dancing.
And you're like,
I'm good. I'm extremely jet-lagged.
Yeah.
I've walked a lot.
Jet lag is real.
Plus just walking all around the city in the sun and all that as well.
Yeah.
Takes you out of here. Travel stories, everybody. Everyone loves travel stories.
They love travel stories.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of travel stories, we have been in Amsterdam, and we haven't just been to the awards. We did also go down to Resin, which is a coffee shop which sells other items as well as coffee. In fact, we didn't get a coffee there.
No.
Did not get a coffee there.
Just got 2 big fat doobies.
Yeah.
And shared one. And I kept the other one for later.
So we did that. Yeah. Obviously, went in Amsterdam. Yeah. We also took a trip to the red light district.
Yeah, went in Amsterdam.
One of his and so we went to the red light district, and we saw lots of beautiful women in the windows. You know, really some, like, obviously there are some super stunning women in these windows, but there is this kind of weird thing, is that if you were to go, okay, yeah, all right, I like the look of this one. There. It's like you're going to walk in and like 500 tourists are going to watch you walk in. Yeah. And when you're going to walk out, another 500 tourists are going to give you a round of applause as you walk out. Yeah. And it's just a little bit strange because it's like,
it's so public. There's hundreds of people going past, and they're all looking at the women, obviously. And then you're like, cool, all right, well, I'm just going to head in here now.
Also, I was just thinking, I was like...
You come out all red-faced and short of breath in about 5 minutes.
Yep. Well, I was also thinking...
A little smile on your face.
A little grin. I was also like, I was like, as a business proposition, how much are these ladies charging an hour? What's a successful night for them? Yeah. Is it sleeping with 10 guys? Or is it sleeping with 2 guys? Yeah. You know, or is it sleeping with 20 guys? Yeah. You know, where did they go? Yeah, fuck, there was a good haul tonight. Yeah. You know, it's like an Uber commission, you know? Where do you say, look, I've hit my limit, I can go home for the night? Yeah. You know, I've had enough sex for the night. I can go home. And also, like, is it really like, oh, I just need to sleep with one person, you know?
Yeah.
They'll pack it in for the night. You know, it's no big deal. That's how much.
It depends what they're charging.
Well,
But
exactly.
I saw that on the window. It said, you know, rooms for rent.
Yeah, you've got to hire.
So she's got to hire that space. So she's got to make a certain amount of money, you know, or she's losing money, right?
Yeah.
So, interesting. I wonder how much they are. They're probably actually heaps to hire the space. There's probably actually heaps to hire because it's right there in that district with all those hundreds of people walking past and all that.
Yeah.
So it's probably quite a lot per hour.
I'm just going to adjust this, all right? Don't worry.
Okay.
So anyway, what else did we do?
Yeah, so we went along to that red light district, and a visit to the red light district would not be complete without a visit also to a sex show. Moulin Rouge was the place we went to.
Yep.
I didn't really know what to expect. I was like, okay, so it's not... So, I mean, I've been to strip clubs before, and, you know, strip clubs they're okay, you know, and there's just a lady dancing around on a pole, and that's really about all that happens in the strip club usually.
Yep.
But this was a sex show. And so when we first walked in, there was just a stripper doing a strip dance, and I was like, cool, this seems just like any old normal strip club.
Yep.
And then after that, though, there was a couple that came out, and they did start having sex, but it was very mechanical.
It was quite mechanical.
It was like a show, a rehearsed show. They were like, yeah, now I'm going to put you in this position for 65 thrusts, and then we're going to swap over and put you in this position. And you could tell they had their routine down because and they were doing this, you know, every 40 minutes or so, every 50 minutes or so, they were on a shift, you know, and every 50 minutes or so, they'd do the same performance again. So they were having sex, but they were not coming. There was no cum, and there was no, like, it wasn't really super graphic. It was kind of, you know, reasonably dimly lit, and the angles were, you know, you saw a bit of stuff.
Well, I mean, they're giving you all the angles.
Well, I don't know about for you, but for me, I was kind of like, I thought I was in a really great spot, but by and large, I got everything from the side. I didn't get like anything sort of, you know, from the rear end. You can actually see what's going on up there, you know, so I was sort of seeing everything from the side. So it was like, oh yeah, cool, so people having sex in missionary, and I can kind of see. And
well, they're playing to the other audience
the people,
a little bit.
Because there was a bigger audience to the side.
They had like a literal theatre section, like, you know, where you sit in a theatre, watch a movie with the angled seating.
Yeah.
They had that on one side, and then they kind of had a bar section on the other. We were at the bar section.
Bar side, yeah. Which is the worst side, I think.
But it's kind of, dinner,
front row seat.
Dinner on a show. But also, I mean, you said it was just it wasn't just a regular stripper, the first one.
Well, I mean, she had a trick. One trick was that she pulled out a ribbon from her vagina and wrapped it around a volunteer from the audience, who was a young lady that seemed to be having a lovely
hell of a time.
She seemed to be extremely happy to be out there.
She loved it. She's like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. And she's like, cool, let me wrap this thing out of my vagina around you.
It's a ribbon. So it was a ribbon. So the joke really was that the ribbon was just so long.
It just kept going.
It just kept on coming.
It just kept on going.
But all it would be just one little spool of ribbon.
Probably,
in there, in some little ribbon holder, you know, and she can just reach up and pull it out, you know. So it's not like it's all in there, all unraveled, and she's like pulling it out. It'll be in a little spool. I've thought about the mechanics of it.
Yeah, the spool. Unspooling.
Yeah,
spooling and respooling.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, do you think she just recycles that ribbon, or goes to just a new one?
Well, she took it back at the end, because I was thinking, oh, she's going to give it to her. She's going to give it to her. She's going to take it home with her. What's she going to do with it? Oh, yeah. All right, giggity. But then she kept it. You know, she didn't give it to her. So I was like, oh, she must just give that a wash every now and then.
And chuck that back up.
Chuck it back in there. But I don't know, you know, speculation.
Yes.
Business expenses. You've got to keep business expenses down. But then the next one, right, when they were having actual sex, there was, first there was a very impressive stripper that did like a very acrobatic, you know, extremely acrobatic performance.
And in fact, if you want to be realistic, she was the best.
Well, she was like super professional.
Yeah. She was like...
And extremely in shape.
Yeah, she was just incredibly athletic and strong. And she was hanging upside down by one leg.
Yeah.
Standing vertically as if she's standing on the roof.
Both feet on the roof.
Yeah. No hands.
No hands on the bar. The only thing holding her with both feet flat on the roof and no hands on the bar was the friction basically of like one leg. One leg was just holding her there, somehow the friction of it, was keeping her there.
Locked.
Because she wasn't hooked on the pole because both her feet were on the roof.
Yeah.
It was some Spider-Man shit. This was some Spider-Man shit. Yeah. We need to get her for a horror film and have her walking around on the roof.
Yeah.
You know, make it look weird.
Yeah, well, we'd need a few more poles, I suppose, to really. But yep, and then as you're saying.
And then there was the first couple came out, and they were so that was she was
to Ramstein.
Yeah, there was lots of good music actually. There was lots of good music.
It was a good soundtrack to the evening.
It was good music. Yeah. And the other ladies had been like, super attractive, like model types. Yeah. But then this lady that came out was, still an attractive lady, but was not really to the same sort of, sort of level as these other girls. And then I was like, that must mean she's definitely going to be doing something dirtier than the other ones. And she was. And so she was. They were actually having sex, and not really giving me the angles. But it was a hell of a cardio workout.
The guy was in really great shape.
Yeah, and like he was doing these long planks, like for 65 thrusts, where he had like his toes on the ground, no knees on the ground, just hands and toes, and just thrusting away for however many pumps, just for the whole show to the music. And by the end of it, they were both sweating. And
it's like he's got to do that again
in 50 minutes.
Yeah,
he's back on stage in 50 minutes. Yeah.
So the fitness was up there for that guy. He was also wearing speaking of the Matrix, he was wearing Neo's Matrix coat to begin with.
It was a bondagey type thing at the beginning there.
And then we also came to an older lady. Who was this is the thing, you're like, when do you give up on these?
Yeah.
And also if you don't give up, do the tricks get a little more extravagant?
Yeah. Well, that's what I thought when she came out. I was like, uh-oh, she's going to be doing something super dirty. She's got to be.
Yes. Well, she was. But the funny thing was there was a Harry Potter looking guy that she invited up onto the stage.
It was funny because that Harry Potter guy looked like he was sitting next to his nana.
Yeah.
At one point,
yeah.
So I was like, that is hilarious.
Well,
if he's there with his nana.
That's the weird thing is like
the people there were just tourists.
And that's the thing is like the show was strangely not at all sexual in a way.
Yeah.
It was almost like we're going to show you sex things.
Yeah.
But they're going to be in no way erotic or turn you on.
Yeah.
They're going to be for a show, like a circus of sex sort of thing. Where we just show you some things.
Yeah.
But they're not, this lady who...
Well, it's difficult to get caught in the moment and get a boner when you're squished in between like 5 other people.
COVID protocols were not being...
We were all... I got a great seat on the edge. I was like, fuck yeah, this is the spot. We staked our claim. And then more people kept coming in. They're just like, move over, please. And you just get squished in until eventually it's like, our legs are rubbing together. So I can't get a boner looking at the sex show with my legs rubbing up against your leg.
Yeah, well, Harry Potter slapped this lady on the ass and she hit him with the dildo in the face to retaliate because she was so offended that he put his hands on her.
Yeah, he was such a fool. He misread entirely what was appropriate.
Yeah.
She put him up on stage and it was all going nicely and everything seemed cool, and then she got him to lie down and then she pretended to blow him but was blowing a dildo instead, but making a show of it, and then she went to get something from her bag, and when she went to get something from her bag he suddenly sat up and smacked her ass with full power, like a real solid one. She would have had a big red hand mark on her ass after that. and the audience was like, oh, and the lady was like, no. And then I saw her give him the fingers as well, like she stood up, and the show just had to continue. Like she sort of took a wee second to compose herself, and then the show continued, and she
did hit him in the face with the dildo too.
Yeah, I didn't really see that.
See, that was the first thing she did. She was like, no, no, and then she grabbed that was with the dildo.
Yeah.
And she was like,
Yeah.
on his face.
Yeah.
With the dildo.
All right.
She hit him with the dildo.
Okay. All right. Well, what she did do was she then got him to put the dildo in his mouth. She gave him the fingers, so she's obviously not very happy with him. And then she got him to put the dildo in his mouth, and then she proceeded to have sex with the dildo, the other end of the dildo, which he was holding in his teeth. Jesus. But the truth is that I was like I was right there, and I was like, I don't want to be that guy. Like, I was like,
no.
Ugh, brother, you than me, brother.
Yeah.
Like, gross.
Yeah.
Oh, gross. Stink.
Yeah.
And so she was like sort of squatting on top of him, like fucking his face with a dildo, basically, which I'm sure was good for her in the sense that she could be like, fuck you, dickhead.
Yeah.
Haha, get your face fucked.
But it was interesting. It was an interesting thing. But my only conclusion was that I was like, this will probably be the closest I ever get to someone having sex in this close proximity to me. I don't think I'll be any closer than this. I don't think that this will happen anymore. But yeah, it was a definitely. I would recommend.
It's worth doing,
I would recommend
sure.
it. It was, as a curiosity, absolutely worth it.
Yeah.
Absolutely worth it.
Agreed. So it was €40 to get in.
Yeah. Well, that's all we did in Amsterdam. We also been to the Ouderkerk,
Yeah.
which is just like an old church,
Right. Yes.
but really good.
Yes. Well, we have used our Amsterdam cards approximately once to get into one church, and it cost us €125 each.
Just €125.
€250 we spent on the Amsterdam card, which we've used to get into one church once, which would have cost like €9.
And we were like, this is brilliant, this is going to save us heaps of money because we get to go on the train and the buses, and then they're like, oh, no.
It doesn't work on the train.
Or the bus.
It works only some of the buses.
It only works on these specific buses that we don't use from where we are.
Yeah.
And the train, which we would use, also is not part of the card.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a bit of a dud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Expensive dud. I had a bad feeling when I was buying it because I was like, €125 just to travel around for a few days? I don't know. It seems like a lot. I was like, I'd probably just pay for some buses and stuff. But I was like, we were going to go somewhere in the morning, and I was like, well, shit, I don't want to like get there in the morning and basically you're like, bloop, and you get on the bus, and then I'm like, oh, fuck, I can't get on, or, I don't have my ticket or something,
Well, essentially, I've bought these types of multi-passes in Hong Kong. I bought these types of multi-passes in the UK as well, and they're super, super handy when they do what they're meant to, which is kind of give you all access. But if they give you like half access, that just doesn't really help, because you never know which one, like whether or not you're going to be paying extra for it or not. And in which case, it turns out we're going to be having to pay extra all the time. So yeah, Amsterdam card, do not recommend.
No, well, not if you live way out by the fucking airport like we do.
What else is going on?
Well, we've got one day left.
Yep.
And then the next day we have our tests.
Yep.
What is going to happen tomorrow? Because today has been a write-off after last night's shenanigans.
And the weather is quite bad.
The weather's bad, and we're miles away from the actual city. So we're just doing a podcast, and that's probably the extent of the adventures for today. But tomorrow is the final day. And so I'm thinking I want to get up kind of relatively early and go kind of get back in the city and have another look around and get some things done, because I want to like do some magic mushrooms, for example.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's my day. I'll just get the weak ones that give you just a bit of a tingle up your spine.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like tripping balls all day.
No.
And I'll buy a cookie to have just before I get on the plane. Boom, and then just sit, because it's a 6.5 hour flight to Dubai. So that's perfect. Perfect duration. Munch a cookie, jump on the plane. But I've got to go buy it. And then I also want to buy a few small sex toys, if I can find them.
Well, you'll definitely be able to find them.
Yeah. And then also I kind of want to go and sit in a coffee shop again and like see if there's a different thing to try. Because, for example, I've never tried hash. I've never smoked hash before. Never tried it. Don't know what it is.
Well,
so
yeah, I think we can do all of those things tomorrow, no props.
Yeah.
I think tomorrow's going to be quite a big one.
Yeah.
I'm definitely fading. I don't know if I can go out today.
No.
I mean, I can go to McDonald's again.
Well, that's one of the problems that we haven't spoken about actually, is the only thing here that's open is McDonald's, and it's either McDonald's or nothing, because we're out by the airport.
There's not even like a BP service station, you know, where you could get a pie.
It's literally McDonald's. It's the world's best McDonald's.
It is a great McDonald's.
But it's still just McDonald's. So basically I wake up, yesterday morning, I woke up and I had McDonald's for breakfast, but not McDonald's for breakfast because it was too late in the day. So it was just McDonald's for breakfast, but not McDonald's breakfast. And then I went home and immediately shit my fucking pants, basically. Like, and then that was all I ate the whole day. And then today, woke up, same deal. I had a quarter pounder for breakfast. I'm too fat for my armour, and I'm having a quarter pounder for fucking breakfast. And we did a TV interview as well. Yep. We both did a TV interview, which is already aired, but will also apparently is going to be going online as well. And that went well and was, pretty fun and funny interview. But you did film me from the side.
I did.
And for the Savage Filmmaker, you did film me from the side. And he did not tell me to sit up and suck in my guts. Yeah. And so I look so incredibly fat.
You look like a pregnant man.
Yeah, this is what the lockdowns have done to me.
You look like Arnie and Junior.
Without the arm muscles. Yeah. Well, this is all since COVID. My suit fit me before COVID, because we did a Show Me Shorts opening night, and I was wearing my suit, and I was like, oh yeah, it's like a little bit snugger than I remember, but it's fine. And it was totally fine all night, and I wore it all night. It looked good in photos and all that. Does not fit me now. Comically small now. And it's all because of these 2.5 years of lockdowns and not enough gymming and too much drinking. I
mean, the drinking is definitely playing a big factor.
Yeah. Beer guts.
Yeah. Definitely can't deny that.
Yeah.
But I think, we'll go for a big adventure tomorrow. And then we should try and squeeze in some on the day that we leave as well.
Yeah, because we've got until 5 p.m. before we need to be at the airport. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, so we should try and make the most of that.
Romantic
Canal cruise could come, because that's the other thing, is like we want to go on the classic boat cruise, but it's like, well, you don't want to go with the weather's like this.
No.
It's very dreary and rainy and windy.
Yeah.
It's like Dunedin.
Yeah.
It's like we've come to Dunedin.
Yeah.
So hopefully the weather will be a little bit better tomorrow. But I think on that note, McDonald's is cooling.
Well, it's not calling me, mate. What am I going to do? I've already had lunch. I've already had McDonald's for breakfast. What, I'm going to have it for dinner as well?
Well, yes.
Did you have it for breakfast?
But I had it at breakfast time.
At breakfast time.
Yeah. So I actually had a McDonald's breakfast.
Yeah.
Now I can have McDonald's lunch/dinner.
What time does that end?
The breakfast?
Yeah.
I think it's 11 or 10:30.
Ooh, crack of dawn.
That's why you got there. Yeah. You got there so late for your breakfast. It was lunch.
Yeah. Both times.
Just like it took you hour to get through to my room.
Yeah. We're moving slow. To be fair, I'm at the end of this journey. It's been taking it out of me, and then I was working a whole bunch beforehand to afford all of these tickets and all of this, so on. So it's been a strenuous few weeks. And it's really only just kicking off, because when I land in New Zealand, we'll do another show when we get back, but when I land in New Zealand, I fly into Christchurch, not to Auckland, and that very night, after 32 hours of travel, I land at 12:40 p.m, and that night at 7 p.m, I've got a screening of short films in a bar, which I'm hosting and running for the film festival. So I am going to be absolutely pooped.
Well, yeah.
Then I fly to Auckland, then I fly to Wellington for another one, and then I fly back to Auckland, and then I just go to my normal jobs.
Good times.
Fuck.
The life.
The life of a film and TV freelancer.
The life of a successful filmmaker. But yeah, I think, definitely feeling like one of these, they got these Big Macs over here. You know what they call a Big Mac in Amsterdam, Harley?
What do they call it?
A Royale with cheese.
No, that's a quarter pounder with cheese.
That's true. And
it's
also, well, the other thing is they don't call it, they just call it Big Mac now.
Yeah. Well, no, there's a quarter pounder as well.
But what I'm saying is Quentin Tarantino lied.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Is that in Amsterdam? Is the actual dialogue Amsterdam?
I think so.
Oh. Didn't know that.
Yeah. He made Amsterdam famous. Because then he's like, you know what they have with fries? mayonnaise. And he's like, get the fuck out of here. He's like, yeah, it's absolutely dripping in that shit.
Yeah, I did that this morning for breakfast. Mayonnaise and chips.
Can't beat it.
Yeah.
Look, the Amsterdam have the best McDonald's. But anyway.
Yeah, on that note, on McDonald's and rampant capitalism and the destruction of the environment and cruelty to animals, we are going to go and support the capitalist system by buying McDonald's, the most unscrupulous of foods.
Yes, and Nocturnal says you never really recover from the jet lag with those short hops to Europe. It's true. We haven't got over the jet lag. Well, at least certainly I haven't. Although I do feel like it's been better for me this time round than last time I came. But it's still pretty painful at about 8 p.m. The eyes just want to close. They really do.
I'm worried about when I get back.
Yeah.
I'm worried about having to go to work at times when I feel so fucking tired because it feels like nighttime for me.
Yeah, well, we're living it up now, and we'll be paying for it then.
So on that note,
thank you very much, everyone. Thank you to all the well-wishers and supporters that have given us a like on Facebook. And if you haven't seen Older, you can see what someone who's as good as the Punisher, right? Who's on par with the Punisher, right? Thomas Jane and me sharing the same stage. He did look a little bit drunk. I don't know if you saw that. He seemed like he'd had a few. Could be wrong.
Yeah, it kind of seemed like it could just be his personality, that he's got a drunk man's personality.
Yeah, or he's a raging alcoholic.
Yeah.
One of the two. We don't know.
Yeah.
So we can only speculate.
Yeah.
But yes, he that's right. He couldn't tie his tie.
Yeah.
He had his tie untied.
Yeah.
And it just he was like, yeah, I said, well.
Yeah, well, fuck it.
Here I am.
Yeah.
This is me.
Yeah.
So if you're a Thomas Jane fan, just know that I'm his equal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Betsy Bauer as well, who came along to the screening as well and was quite happy about him being there.
Yeah.
So shout out Betsy if you're watching. I don't know if she watches, but shout out Betsy.
So yeah, thank you very much, everybody. And we will see you when we are back and we touch down in New Zealand. All going well. Pray for our COVID-free COVID tests in a couple of days. Pray for Mojo. All right.
Lots of links in the description. Go check out Older, Enemy the Vegan.
See you later.
Thumbs up. Subscribe.